on Township Committee meetings for October 23rd, 2023. At this point in time, would everyone please observe a moment of silent meditation? Would everyone please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to the Finance Administration Committee. Tonight we have our Solicitor, Sean Kilkenny, our Manager, Matt Cannon, Assistant Manager, Randy Scheibel, and Commissioner Spearing and Commissioner Lockett. First item of business would be no presentations, announcements. Okay, then approval of the minutes for September 25th, 2023. Any issues with the minutes?
Not for me.
Any issues with the minutes? Any public or commissioner comments on the minutes? Okay, we'll move them forward. Next, we have the acceptance and approval of some monthly reports. First for the Director of Finance report, the Tax Enforcement Officer report, the report from Berkheimer, and the Investment Activity report. Randy, how do we look? We're 3/4 of the way through the year.
We're looking pretty good. I mean, our revenues, especially even this month, have improved greatly in the business tax area, which I'm very pleasantly surprised. They were running behind most of the year, but have caught up to themselves. And the earned income taxes coming in pretty strong too.
Last year we have a little bit extra that we received from 2022.
What's that?
Prior year miscellaneous tax revenue.
Yeah.
Of where it should be.
Yeah.
All right, projected. Any questions on these 4 reports? Any public comment or commissioner comment on these 4 reports? Okay. Next, it takes us to the quarterly budget review, the quarterly bond issue report, the quarterly capital reserve fund, and the quarterly restricted funds, and the quarterly grant report. Okay. First of all, do you have any questions, Kevin?
No.
Cheryl, you want to?
I do have questions.
All right.
Do you want me to go through the questions, or do you want to?
I can go through them. I can go through
I
them.
was trying to pull up my email.
That's fine. I have them here.
Thank you.
Commissioner Locker sent me an email over the weekend with the question. So one question is, why did the fire department air compressor of $90,000 come off of the bond list on the 2021? That's because they're using relief money to actually buy that piece of equipment. So it didn't have to be on the bond.
Great.
The next question, are we still expecting another tub grinder grant, which is to cover the trash cans? Yes, we are. They haven't made that available yet to, for us to apply to, but we will be able to get that grant, and it will cover, and it's going to be another $350,000. That will cover enough we need for the trash cans.
So what's been the total cost approximately for purchasing of the trash cans? Not the recycle bins, the trash.
The new trash cans, they're like like in the range about $450,000 total for the trash cans. Yep.
Just for the cans?
That's for the cans, and then having the cans be delivered. Yes.
Okay.
Next question was Farmstead Park, and the amount of $115,000 was approved to be funded from the ARPA funds. So how would the $100,000 in the bond list be reallocated? We could look at that for the 2024 CIP. You know, we have the CIP coming up. We can allocate it to, you know, any one of those projects that's going to be in there, or even to cover the
people in the audience that don't know what CIP is.
Capital improvement plan.
Okay.
And we'll be discussing that at the November 4th budget workshop.
So the trash cans, I'm just going back to that. If we spend $500,000 And we can, even though we spend it, we can still get the grant money to cover the cost.
Well, the grant money is coming in for the tub grinder, which we have on order.
Okay.
So that's just a different piece of equipment, but we will get that money, which would help cover the cost of the trash cans.
Okay.
So we'll have, like, at the top of this grant sheet, says we have like 150,000 not yet spent of this bond money. That'll go up.
Yeah, yes.
So when that goes up for the miscellaneous things we talked about, do you suggest, you're saying reallocate it to other things in our capital improvement?
Yes, yes. And honestly, right now, we just got an email, we probably will have arbitrage situations with that bond issue. And what happens is you're supposed to have the funds spent within 3 years, or the majority of the funds spent in 3 years. If not, they'll start looking at the interest rate. So we borrowed that money at a pretty low interest rate. And since we're earning a lot of money on it, it comes into IRS rules that say that if we don't have it spent down, that we will probably have to pay the IRS a certain amount of money to cover that.
And when do you have to spend it by?
But we have to spend it by January 11th.
2024.
And part of the problem is we've ordered a lot of this.
Yeah, it's a lot, yeah.
And we're just waiting for things to come in.
So
That would be
that's not an
considered,
excuse to give us an extension? on that?
No, they don't get.
no,
they don't
just
give you-
identify that we ordered the stuff and
Right.
So, our money gets invested by Pliget, so they're the ones who actually handle the arbitrage, so they're supposed to be getting back to us with an arbitrage potential calculation.
But for these items that we've ordered, we don't pay for them until they get delivered.
don't pay for
And
them.
that's the problem. So that we have that money sitting in our account. We've ordered the equipment. I guess it's what?
Tub grinder, the
vehicles.
big one.
Yeah, tub grinder
And
and,
there's two trucks.
yeah, 2 trucks. So we can't pay for them until, I mean, I guess, do you have any idea how much money that's going to be in arbitrage? I mean,
I don't know, they're
Yeah.
gonna give me a calculation.
yeah, but that's the problem is that we've ordered it and it's just taking so long to get in.
Yeah, are there other things that we want to do that we should, in the capital improvement plan, that we should move up then?
Well, there's a couple ideas I had. At Farmstead, they're doing that environmental improvement out there. It was almost a $600-some thousand project. And I've been spending it out of the general fund because it's pretty much 100% grant refunded. But I may move that project over to the grant funds to spread it down. And, you know, we would have the money available just in the general fund after that. But that's one source. And then also we did a Green Light Go for North York Road, which was also pretty much 100% grant funded, but that was expended out of the general fund. I may move that expense into the bond fund to try and get that number down. The other question Commissioner Lockhart had was, what are the major expenditures in the township building renovations of $400,000, of which $264,000 has been spent? What's the plan for the remaining? And ARPA funds include HVAC for the $210,000 and the sprinkler system of $75,000.
Right.
We didn't include.
75, I know, I
We didn't,
swelled
yeah.
up.
But the $400,000, that's mainly been for the architects and for the design of the new police building.
Soft
We had that
costs.
as a separate line, the 600.
I know, but when they've been invoicing us, they've been invoicing both projects together. So I just applied it to that line.
That's what a lot of that
Yeah.
200
Yeah.
is, okay. And then we still, of that, I'm just trying to kind of get an idea of, you know, if there's excess here, that's not going to be spent. So we have 136,000 under township building renovations that hasn't been spent. Like, does that double up the painting? Like, was that the painting that we're now doing on the ARPA?
No, that's just strictly for the design work for both the township building and the police station.
Oh, it's all design?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yep, that's all design.
Okay, thank
And
you.
I think Gilmore did some engineering work with the site preparation for it.
oh, yeah, they did.
Okay. Thank you.
Done?
And then you also did ask about the traffic impact fees, balance of 91K, and I guess we have a Green Light Go grant for $128,000 match. And I guess you're wondering where the additional funds would come from. We don't have a source at this point, but however, I anticipate when Federal Realty comes back with their new project that we're gonna get a lot of money from that traffic impact fee that they're gonna have to pay us. Which should cover that, because it usually takes a year or two for those Green Light Go grants to get those projects to go through.
Okay.
Okay.
But we should list it now on that.
Yeah, it should be, it will be, yeah.
I got one follow-up comment
Thank you.
from all that. Quick.
Go ahead, because I got questions I've been waiting to.
So I have one follow-up comment from all that. We've been taking serious looks at our, the balance of work that we have out there that already has received some grant funding. We've been looking at the amount of share that we have to contribute to finance those projects. And I did say this before, that we have the ability to take grant opportunities and share them with other municipalities. Because I think we're taxed out as far as what we should do, but there's a few projects out there that would certainly be beneficial to this community. Two that I've been thinking of, if grant funding becomes available, that we don't want to incur expenses on, but we could share the improvements that help us, would be the intersection of Blair Mill and Easton. There's Horsham acquired a property there. Did they get that already?
He did.
So there's intersection improvements that are going to take place there. And the other one is, then that's with Horsham. And then with Hatboro, there's the Pennypack School, and it's a stormwater management project. If the one Broad Acres Apartments wanted to cooperate with us and do stream bank stabilization, that would be a huge win for that project. But just to not ignore grant funding, but be able to plug it in without going into our coffers to supplement the share. Just a thought.
Okay. Randy, let's just go to the 2023 bond series. It's a bond series of 2021 with the 2023 budget on it. I know we talked about the township building renovations, but the police design is 600,000. We haven't spent anything for the police.
Like I said, when we get the invoices from the architect, they're combining both the township and the police building together.
So
Probably what I
both
have
of these
under the
could be
township.
together then.
Yeah, we probably should just have combined them together and did it that way.
Well, we want to, you need to keep the two separate, so I would probably encourage them, I would inquire that I would like to keep them separate, but it's not that hard, I mean,
Right.
tag it a different number and when you're out here doing work at each place, but, okay. The other items that are here, the plow trucks, we haven't bought them yet, I guess, and the tub grinder, we haven't bought them yet. That's why there's,
They're both on order.
oh, they're both in process, means they're on order.
The tub grinder's been on order for well over probably a year and a half almost.
We knew that was going to be a while, okay. I guess to 2022, we have $900,000 left in that,
Yes.
okay. And this year's expenditures were significant? Oh, that's to date.
That's total, that's total.
The 2023 capital reserve fund, the 159,000 that we didn't spend on capital or on equipment like the police cars, and what's that going to be used for? Or is that, we expect to spend 324,000, but we're only at 164 now.
Yeah, so we probably won't be doing the Public Works feasibility study. I actually carried that over to 2024. The police vehicles, money we still owe out on that. That's for all the upfits on those vehicles. So we're just starting to receive those invoices
So
now.
for 44,000, we get the basic
That's for the.
police
for the-
car, then
and
they
we
have to put the
yeah.
lights on it and all the
Yep.
radio and the equipment. Okay.
And I think the business tax software, that will be spent too.
Okay. Fee in lieu of for plannings, we still have 174,000 reserved.
Correct.
Yeah. And the stormwater management fund has got $50,000 left in it. So we use that money for stormwater projects to come up.
Yes.
And the traffic impact fee funds, where available balance is 329. Of that money, we haven't committed any of that. Yes, we committed 119, which hasn't been spent yet?
No, it hasn't been spent yet.
Okay.
And we have another 128 that's not on this list yet.
Right, correct.
The new Green Light Go grant.
Yeah. And the ARPA money that we're going to be using like for downtown, is that going to go on any of these projects, on any of these to be spent?
Well, we have in the ARPA funds, we have available for grant matches, so if, you know,
I'm talking about the downtown, the $100,000 that we put aside to clean up downtown. Where are you going to categorize, put that? Is it going to be a separate issue for ARPA, or is it going to be under?
it'll be
You'll
on-
do a spread, you'll keep.
I'll do
the
a, yeah, I
list
keep a
for the
spreadsheet of all
ARPA.
the ARPA spending.
I just didn't know how it's going to affect this.
Yeah.
So
Shouldn't
sometime.
affect this. Yeah, it shouldn't have any effect here.
Okay. All right. And then we have the grant spreadsheet. So as of right now, Upper Moreland Township was awarded $10 million in grants.
Yes,
And of that, we're paying 1.4,
yes.
and the total cost is going to actually be $12 million. So we're probably getting 15%
Yeah,
of all the total project cost, if everything came through.
Right.
If everything came in, all right. Okay. Let's go to any other commissioner or public comments, sorry. Okay, so let's go to the current list of bills paid and revenue expense summaries. Okay. Expenses to date. I always go right to the expenses, sorry. We're at 72% when we should be right around 75%, so that's a good thing. But a couple of them are over. Administration, emergency management, public works, and parks and rec. And what,
so
yeah,
administration's over for two reasons. We had large tax refunds that we had to pay earlier in the year.
Okay.
Of over $200,000.
Okay.
Which was not budgeted. And then under contributions, we also made payments out of that line for ARPA approved funding. For ARPA approved funding, for like the Willow Grove Development Corp.
yeah.
So that the expenditure gets here, and then under grants, the revenue gets.
Okay.
For Public Works, that, one of the big things there is for
Streets?
the road improvements, which is for the Green Light Go grant I just mentioned.
Okay.
So we'll be getting grant money to offset that expense.
All right.
And then in parks, a lot of that is for the project out at Farmstead Park, the environmental project, which will get pretty much 100% grant funded.
Okay. I have a commissioner asked me to find out when Church Street and York Road was going to get fixed.
Don't point at him.
I came down that way, but the light changed because there was a car sitting there for 15 minutes before I got there. But I don't know when the roads, Matt?
I'm sorry?
I don't know when the roads are going to have their sensors put in the blacktop after they've been repaved.
On Easton or?
Oh, it's Church Street in York, but I don't know what else there is out there, but
I don't.
when they dig up the roads and they repave them, they pull up sensors that tell the red light somebody's there.
Right.
So it's just going off a timer now, and that doesn't help during rush hour, so. All right,
We'll follow up on that.
yeah.
And I think Anton heard that, right?
Yeah, we talked about
He's
it
gonna
last
follow.
Wow,
Tuesday.
yeah, all
Yeah.
right.
He was gonna look.
Well, you told me that 2 months ago. All right, and I have no other questions right now that are on the top of my head, so.
I just have
Top of the side of my head.
one overall question on this. So in the budget, assumed we may have to transfer funds into the general fund, the 452,000.
I'm sorry?
Our overall budget assumed we may have to transfer $453,000 from
Fund
reserve.
balance?
Right.
We'll probably have to transfer some, but not that number. I
Oh,
think
you do still think some?
some,
Yeah,
probably some.
The tax refunds sort of
Yeah.
shot that,
Yeah.
but, yeah.
But it's still a little bit too early to see. I mean, like I say, our business tax revenue has been coming in really strong in October, which I hadn't really foreseen earlier, which I'm very pleased about. So that may be.
Want to give the people that might not know quickly a explanation of why we have to pay tax refunds?
Well, they have, they basically go to the Board of Assessment for a reassessment saying that their property's overassessed. These ones all went to the courts. So the courts kind of forced the school district and the property owner to come to an agreement, and that's what this was. These were agreements that they're court stipulations, so they're court ordered.
Yeah, over the last 5 years, I guess taxes were increased on commercial properties, and now, so the people, or one of them would be the Woolgo Shopping Center because they're under construction, so.
Right. That has a
Once-
big impact on
yeah.
it.
So, okay, I just wanted everybody to know.
Commissioner Lockhart also asked about the trash trucks.
Yeah, I'm afraid that's a longer one, but go ahead.
Well, right now we have a 2005, a 2015, a 2017, a 2020, and a 2022 trash truck.
How many was that? How many trucks?
5.
We have 5 trucks that do the garbage collection and,
Well, right now there's only 3 normally go out. 1 they use for the yard waste.
Yeah,
So then they have another one that's kind of a spare right there now, which they will probably get rid of. So the 2005 is going to be replaced in 2024.
that's the one we have for the next year's bond.
So that's still sitting in that, that's still going to be sitting in the capital improvement plan. The 2015 is scheduled to be replaced in 2025, and that's also still sitting in the capital improvement plan. The 2017 is set to be replaced in 2027. And they're going to be bigger trucks that we're ordering.
what's the second one, the year of it? Yeah, 2005 and 2017, what's the middle one?
2015. Dave says we get about 10 to 12 years out of a trash truck.
But 2005, we got 20 years out, 20,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that one, I think they just, because it's like the yard waste one, so it doesn't get the,
Abuse?
yeah.
Okay.
And they're all equipped with tippers. None of them are, fully automated, but they're all,
They all have tippers and 3 of them are automatic for recycle, right?
not yet. Oh, no, this is just the Senate.
Oh, this is not, oh, got you. Wow, okay. So none are automatic yet.
No,
No.
it just has the tippers.
Yep,
Okay?
thank you.
Commissioner public comments? Okay, we'll move on to personnel. Finance and Administration Committee is recommending, which one? The appointment of Michael Lavecchio on the Historical Commission to fill the alternate vacancy left by Aldi Morsessian and complete the remainder of the current 3-year term that will expire 12/31/2024.
No objections.
Michael is a current member, but he was moving to the alternate position. No, that doesn't make any sense. Gina?
Yeah, I think that was,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, Gina's being put into Michael's spot. So we have 2 vacancies on the Historical Commission, and we're moving next 2 people to actually serve as members of the Historical Commission. Michael has moved from the Historical Commission to an alternate on the Historical Commission. So you have any problems? You
That
good?
takes care of 1 and 2.
Okay.
Yes.
You good with
yes,
both of them?
thank you.
So we'll move both of the, Commissioner Public comments? Okay, we'll move those two forward. Third one is the appointment of Brian Tompkins on the Historical Commission and fill the vacancy left by Robert Mathers and complete the remainder of the current 3-year term that will expire December 31st, 2020, 2023. Again?
Supporting that.
Yep.
Good. Historical Commission supports all these appointments too, so, any public comments or commissioner comments? Okay, let's move on.
Go up to number 2.
Kevin threw that in. The only difference between Gina and Michael is the year 2025 and 2024. So we moved Gina and Michael together, and Brian was moved separately. Next is the vacancies on the APA. We have Award 3 vacancy on the APA. We have, we might have 2 vacancies on the Human Relations Commission. And we have, the Parks and Rec Advisory Council is looking for Award 2 appointee, and we've been looking for a while for someone to serve on the Uniform Construction Code Local Appeals Board, just to fill the vacancy of an electrical engineer, and that's been going for a while. Anthony, you said you were going to get us somebody.
I've been working on this guy for 2 years.
Okay,
I want to go back to this historical commission one for a second, because I
Sure.
don't think they were right. So, last month, we had a vacancy for a 3-year term and a vacancy for an alternate term. Michael Lavecchio is moving from a full term to the alternate term,
Right.
right,
leaving his full term open.
yes,
The balance of his full term.
Yeah.
It's going to
Correct.
expire December 31st, 2025.
Understood. Doesn't Gia's say, let me go back, maybe. I
Oh, it
read
says alternate, you're right.
Gia's says that she's filling an alternate vacancy left by Michael Lavecchio. That's not correct.
That's incorrect.
She is filling the full term.
yes.
Okay,
So it should say,
voting member.
to fill the vacancy left by Michael Lavecchio.
correct.
Okay, so take the
yeah.
word alternate.
Michael is alternate, Gia and Brian are both full
Full-
term.
Yeah,
Good
Okay.
point.
Cool.
thank you.
Thanks, Anthony.
Okay, so under 8A, an agreement authorizing Howe Associates to collect residential, commercial recycling data and prepare the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection's 904 recycling grant application for Upper Walnut Township. You want to take this, Matt?
I can take it.
Randy, go ahead.
So in the past, we have applied directly for this grant, the township. We used to receive somewhere in the $40,000 range for the grant. Several years ago, we brought in Hoff Associates to do it. They were able to almost double, if not more than double, the amount of grant money we receive for this. They're better at collecting the data and do a better job on it. So this agreement would have them continue to do this for us for the next couple of years.
So the agreement says that we agreed to pay Howe 35% of the award over
Yeah,
42,000.
that was the baseline set when they first started.
Okay, and my question is, what do they get for the basic award?
I'm sorry?
For the first step, to get 42,000, what do they get for that?
They don't get anything for that. They just get for the difference.
Just making sure, okay, relax.
No, we went over it. I mean,
Okay, thank you.
hold on, I'm not done with this.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. So when I first interpreted this ruling, this contractor, and I read it literally about preparing our reports for recycling. And then what I found out is the residents of Upper Moreland are very good at recycling, but the businesses all are not. I am going to pick on a couple. I don't usually like to do that, but one of the things that the EAC brought to our attention was like you would walk into the giant supermarket and find this big bag of recycling plastic bags, and can't find any supporting data that they're actually getting recycled. What was disappointing was that I went to the giant gas station, because I do a lot of business at both, and found that they have a big advertisement about how they're cued into the economy, to the environment, and they're doing all this tree work and everything, but the giant gas station doesn't have a recycle bin. It's just trash, all of it, and that's where it all goes. And asked them about it once, came back again, and they didn't do it, so here I am. More disturbing than that, it's law that you recycle, but if you go to get your license renewed, you can't even recycle a piece of paper there at the DOT, at County Line and Shoemaker. That's disturbing. We're working hard to make sure that these things become law, and they're plugged in, and everybody's trying hard, and then we have, state institution just ignoring and choosing not to. So the fact that this particular grant, this particular entity it covers our reports and generates income for us, but doesn't fill that hole where no one's cooperating with, mostly businesses that aren't cooperating.
So they don't check on that?
No.
They don't, and we don't either.
Right.
I mean, yeah, the township is following state law. We've done a lot
Tons.
for all this recycling pickup. The businesses should too. Now, I guess it's a matter of having someone that can check that.
I think we just let PennDOT know they're not recycling, and I mean, we've asked them to their face, in private, and now here's your public outcry that, all working hard here, and I
agree.
asked you to recycle pieces.
Businesses should be recycling.
Yeah.
I guess, let's get a recommendation from the staff on what they think the steps should be to make sure businesses are recycling.
Me, I would have somebody contact Nancy's office, Nancy Gens, because they're a state organization, PennDOT, and a state.
You know what?
Why PennDOT?
That's the
DOT, that's what-
DOT office. Look, I
Department of Transportation for your licenses.
Oh, I'm talking about all the businesses.
He was talking about PennDOT. this
Right,
morning.
right.
maybe a letter to Rotary, incorporate all the businesses. Most of them are doing it.
Well, I see here, one of the things that the Huff Associates does is they prepare and mail recycling education to township businesses. So they're sending out a mailer, maybe that mailer should say, you better be complying, because I don't know what the steps are, how we follow up on that, but I agree, it's important the businesses are recycling too.
Got that, Randy?
Thank you.
Public or commissioner comments on this?
All for it. How do we ensure that mailer is recycled?
Follow the truck.
Right? Like, I think there's a whole process there, right? And informational distribution sometimes needs to take different approaches than just mailers.
Do we have businesses registered?
Yeah. I don't
I'm
know.
asking.
Yeah. You asked the wrong guy, but maybe somebody knows the answer to that.
Yeah, I would like information from, what we know as far as our businesses recycling and what is the step, what's the recommended step to enforce it?
Okay.
Thank you. Right?
Appreciate that, thank you.
Okay. We'll move this forward for action. 8B, the sale of surplus vehicles. Go ahead.
In the past, we've oftentimes sold vehicles to the Maryland State Police. We have 2 vehicles that we would like to sell to the Maryland State Police. So that's what this is. It would be $13,000 for each one of the vehicles.
Got a question, Andy. Chief,
Yes.
the 2019 Ford, how long do you keep these?
5 years. and there were mechanical issues with that one, so that's why we moved that. We have 2 that are older than that, but they're in better.
And how many
mechanical.
hours do they run for this time period? Probably
I can get the
thousands?
information from, yes, they're up there. The mileage on that one's
Yeah,
just over 75,000.
I just want to make sure people will understand if they see 2019, that's the reason why I asked the question. That it's 5 years, people will be happy having a 5-year-old car, but the time that these things are running while they're on the road
Correct,
is
there's wear
all
and
day
tear on
long.
it. Correct. And in addition to that, with the updated policy on the vehicle replacement for police, the Ford Explorers were at 5 years. We're switching over to the Chevy Tahoes. They're 7 years. I believe we're going to get even more than 7 years out of it. So when we do make the replacement, the ones that are being purchased this year will go to 2030 on that 7-year replacement plan. So hopefully there's a savings to the township.
Any commissioner and public comments on this? Okay, thank you, chief. We'll move this forward. And last, we have the allocation of the second round of ARPA funds. The Finance Administration Committee, along with the township staff, Matt and Randy and John, sat down and we went through a lot of what was transpired with the first round of ARPA, and we put together a second round of ARPA. It's in your commissioner books. It's totaling $1,809,000 worth of approved uses that we have, and we spent $41,000 to date, and we also have of that money $300,000 in matching funds for stormwater, traffic, parks, or trails. So we have that put aside. You have anything to add?
No, what we did is, in the first round, we looked at our allocations, and some of those things we reallocated because they weren't going to be used, so I want to point that out.
This is where we're at now.
That's correct.
So, Farmstead, 75,000, township building, planning, painting, I should say, is $100,000 for township. New roof on the fire stations to get a stucco, that's total is 60 and 20, which is 80. Farmstead, parking lot, grant match, Woodlawn Park, grant match, township building, HVAC, second alarmers rescue squad, tutoring services. We did go from $20,000 that we did last year to $60,000. Commissioner Locker was the pushing.
Because we're going to do it for 3 years.
We
What it is,
committed to-
it's
Yeah, go ahead.
hiring a tutor to help the kids try to catch up for their lost student during COVID. Matt handled hiring a tutoring service. They did it at the library, and the school followed up on it, talked to the teachers, and they feel like it was a success and helped the kids, so we want to continue doing that. That's really one of the main reasons for the funding, the ARPA funding. So I'm happy about that.
So it'll be
yes.
$20,000 a year for 3 years. Downtown Willow Grove cleanup, that was scheduled for 100, and we only spent 50, so we're back at 100.
Well, that's an additional,
Right, we spent 50 last year.
we're going to spend on close to that 50 from
Yeah,
last
so
year.
it's
This is
going to
just
be
an additional
another
100,000.
100, yeah, but it was 50 plus 50 for additional work. Okay. I don't know how we're going to do this, but our hearts open up to the funds for the police to help residents with food, clothing, or any other personal issues. We put money aside for that. The Willow Grove Baptist Church, outdoor shed and shelving.
Yeah, they do, they have a food pantry that hands out a lot of food, and this is something that they could use. They're running out of space, so that's what
Okay.
that's for.
Montgomery County Community College Financial Aid Fund. This is for degrees, workforce programs, police academy. It's based on need.
For Upper Moreland residents.
Only Upper
For Up-
Moreland
for
residents,
Upper
right?
Moreland residents.
And it will be administered by Montgomery County, not the township. The county will review. They already have information on the need of the students, so they will apply it.
Is it the county or the community college?
The community college, Montgomery County Community College.
Okay. We also allocated $40,000 for the Willow Grove CDC for first-time homebuyers, and Willow Grove CDC for rental assistance. There was $80,000 for that. Forgotten Cats program there was $5,000 put into that category, and the balance was for matching funds for stormwater, traffic, and parks, trails.
Yeah, so we've used a lot of these funds to leverage the money that we've got to make matches for grants. So it went further. We've also used a lot, just township needs, things that needed to be done. And then another big portion to help people in Upper Moreland, which I think was really the main reason originally for that law and those funds. So I feel good about our allocations.
So the 300,000 could be a 25% match to 1.2 million, so.
Mr. Commissioner.
Armstead. Commissioners and I have discussed giving money to St. Vincent de Paul Society at St. David's Church, because they support the whole, anybody in the community. And they are, they're part of a large parish.
Yes, I would support that,
Pardon? Yeah, so, okay.
the St. Vincent de Paul.
We discussed that, and we discussed that a lot, but we pushed the money towards the other funding source. So if we take money from one of them, we can, I don't know if we want to do that, but.
I have some comments about that. I support the request to give money to the St. Vincent de Paul Society. But the issue here is that I would like those funds to be contingent upon caseworkers being assigned to the individuals that receive those funds. This is an issue with Montgomery County and not, in my opinion, doing their part to manage the homeless issue that we have and underemployment issues that we have. So one of the things that happened when people would call for assistance to the county was just directing them right to St. David's, St. Vincent de Paul Society to hand them out money or a gift card for groceries or
Paying
whatever. So it was unmanaged. So we would like to support this, but have a caseworker assigned to the people. And
Well, then by that reasoning, we should have a caseworker assigned to the police for the money that they give to help the people, the 20,000 we're giving to the police to help.
that can be
Yes,
done
so-
because it's based on.
And that was an idea, like, these are not all, these may be adjusted some too as we learn more and work through it. That 20,000 for the police, I don't know, have you gotten a chance to talk to the chief yet about it? That was just an idea that we had because we know that they're out in our community and at times
yeah.
they're
I'm
using
not
their own
against it.
funds to buy things. So wanted to have money available for them. I'm not sure if that's, if the chief is going to
I don't think
think.
the St. Vincent de Paul Society has any better chance of getting social workers than you or I do, making the county do.
What did you say?
I'm saying the St. Vincent de Paul Society doesn't have any better opportunity to get social workers assigned to the money we might give to them than we can make the county do that.
I agree.
No, we
That
asked the
was our
county to do
discussion.
that.
And Kevin, you are going to try to talk to them. We have a meeting coming up and, yeah, we did talk about allocate, we had a number and said it's on hold, right? For St. Vincent de Paul. Didn't we
Yeah.
come up with a number and say, well, that's on hold till we talk to the county?
Once again, they're an agency, it serves people in our community.
They're helping people.
A large number of people.
They're helping a lot of
Open to
people
everybody.
stay in their
Okay,
apartments.
So are you opposed to
No, I just.
He wants
the
to,
caseworker being,
I'm not opposed to it, I'm just saying it shouldn't be attached. It shouldn't be
and we
required
kind
of
of
St.
said it was
Vincent
on
de Paul.
hold, I know.
I'm not requiring of St. Vincent de Paul. I'm identifying with the county has an obligation for that service. okay? And that I'm letting the county know, unless you can provide a caseworker so that the money is spent wisely, and then we get in touch with the social behavior things, the human aspect of it.
I agree, we can't make that happen, but if they agree to it, I would think St. Vincent de Paul would be very happy to have the county
Absolutely.
more involved, helping
They
them.
call 411.
Right.
And they get no answer,
Right.
just like you and I do, so.
Yeah, so
Take the number?
let's talk about that one some more. What's that?
He said 411.
211.
211,
I knew what he meant.
You know what you meant.
whatever,
That's an old number.
okay.
You know, I think what
I'm
might help a lot of these places that like to help people is some type of social work training, because, to ask the right questions, so that you don't get taken advantage of as a place that's trying to help people.
Right.
But I think that's important, and I think that's something we should consider doing, because it would help them vent the right people through the right process.
Well, you're assuming they don't. I think I've had a lot of experience with vetting and getting the wrong people.
I've had a bad.
I know.
Look, this is a committee meeting. Let's get back to
One
that. I mean,
person.
you know,
There's-
when they come to St. Vincent de Paul and ask for help, no identification required. You know, where do you live? What is your address? You're homeless, okay? You still have, you're counted in the census, you came from somewhere else. You know, this is, we're trying to get the responsibilities. And
Point is, there aren't many organizations doing anything like this.
I hear-
And this is
Okay.
one that does.
Right, they're out there helping people, and they've committed a lot of funds to that over the
Buying
last 4 years,
shells
I
for the
agree.
food pantry, that's great, but it's the same kind of thing. Let's continue it later.
You can always find room for it somewheres. So, Anthony,
Right, so, on that topic, real quick, I think there might just be, a typo in the allocation list. We have Willow Grove Community Development Corp. in there twice for a first-time home buyers grant and rental assistance, and I know that in our original distribution and our brainstorming of these ideas, the rental assistance program was actually for St. Vincent de Paul, so.
no, we had them separated.
Yeah,
Had that
it's,
separated?
Yes.
Okay.
So
I
the
know I'm
role-
not in those meetings, so I get it, but,
that's a good observation, but yeah, that is correct.
all right. So, looking at the actual numbers, so we have from the first round of ARPA, we saved 35,000 bucks in the floodgates, so we're moving that over to second round. There were grants to other nonprofits. There was $50,000 that we had allocated in the first round that we didn't spend. Do we have a reason for that?
I'm sorry, which one?
I'm looking at, it's page 55
Right.
of the book, and grants to other nonprofit organizations. It's the third.
so I
from
think we
bottom.
were still, the plan was just to research
To
some more.
roll it over, okay.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm bringing this up, it'll make sense in a second. So the other one is matching funds for grants, $462,653 was not used in the first round.
Yeah, it wasn't spent, but I would say that it has.
It's
you know,
allocated.
Yeah, I mean, we have in here as a separate listing, Woodlawn Park grant match, 300,000. And then we still have the amount at the bottom, the 297. Oh, there's also the 115 for Farmstead Park. But yeah, that was set aside exactly for the reasons that it took some time for grants to be obtained and put this towards those matching funds.
So like, you know, we want to grab the monies from ARPA to get a $1 million grant for,
Leverage it to more money. Yep.
I'm 100% for that. So the reason I'm bringing attention to this is, and I circulated this to the group a couple weeks ago, I divvied up our ARPA funds into 3 specific categories. So the first one was municipal work, and that counts for maintenance in our buildings, maintenance in downtown, maintenance in the parks, things like that, automated trash, all that stuff. I then have social services and emergency response, which is housing assistance, our great tutoring services, the potential for safety code inspection, forgotten cats, all that kind of thing. And then the last one being grants and infrastructure. The allocation on round one was a very good distribution of that funding. It was the lowest for municipal work. It was in the middle for social services and emergency response. And it was the highest for grants and infrastructure, which in my opinion makes sense because that more money you put in, more money you get back, more effect that has for the overall community. So I was fine with that distribution. Looking at the way that this is broken out now and taking into account that close to $500,000 being rolled over into round two, our distribution is skewed substantially towards municipal work. There's a lot of money going to municipal work, and I think that a lot of that is coming in from the allocations to township departments, which is a whole bunch of different items here and there. Township building HVAC, new roof at the fire station stucco, police pepper balls, police 15 new laser, all that stuff is things that's specific towards a municipal department. And I'm wondering if we do not have other sources for that funding, because it, in my mind, yes, that is definitely work that needs to be done. It does not 100% in my head align with the
I hear you.
reasoning behind the
I hear
ARPA
you.
funding.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. We kind of went through the list. I think there are a lot of township needs. The other place that it would come from would be bond funds. We are going to have a large bond procurement this year for the police building. Yeah, it was kind of a give and take. We have a lot of things that need to be done, but I agree. The meaning of these funds was definitely to help people. I think we're doing a lot. I feel like we're doing a lot of good things with the money.
I agree 100%.
So, yeah, I mean, it sounds like you think,
I like the analogy you used. And when you took a look at the original list that we all saw, maybe you did not. I remember calling you and asking you that. You didn't. So yeah, there was a lot of items that fell into that municipal category that we chose not to bring forward.
that's a good point, right? Because we wanted to make sure we had funds for these other helping people.
So there's well over $500,000 that was requested of ARPA funds for those things you have identified as municipal benefits or municipal undertakings, and this committee chose not even to bring those forward.
Okay. Yeah, and again, I do want to reiterate the point that this work does need to get done and will need to get paid for out of some source. I just want to make sure that we're exhausting the sources outside of ARPA funding to pay for some of this work before we dip into ARPA funding, which is dedicated for other purposes in my mind. All around, it's all good for the township, it's all good for the community, it's things that are necessary. But before we lock that in, I just want to exhaust our other options first. Okay, well, thank you for putting thought into that. My only other point that I would like to make, and I think I had brought this up at one point, these are sources, these are funding sources that we're going to run out of. And so I 100% agree that the money should be used to establish assistance within the community. But are we looking at any form of collaborative endowments with the school district or with any of these other organizations that we're identifying where we can take our funds and instead of $20,000 a year for 3 years for tutoring, which is extremely beneficial, turn it into $20,000 a year for multiple years outside of that 3, because that 3 is going to hit, and then I highly doubt that we're going to have the appetite to put an additional $20,000 into our budget every single year to pay for tutoring, and we're going to then rob that service from the kids who need it.
I agree. Well, I don't know that we're robbing the service. I mean, it's something extra that we had unusual funding to do. And yeah, I would love to keep doing it.
Well, it becomes a perk, right? It becomes something that some kid is going to benefit from.
I agree.
And then we're taking that away. And I don't know what we've only done this for 1 year, but is it going to be a repeat kid? Is it going to be a kid who really benefited from it, whose brother or sister is coming up behind him and could
Right.
also utilize it, but now that resource.
So are you thinking add more years to it? I mean, it's hard to,
I think we talk to the school district and we figure out how we can
We,
couple our
we've
money
worked
with
with
them.
them. We have worked with the school district on
Okay.
this.
And it's a dead end.
We're helping our.
They asked us
students
this
and
year if we were going to do it again.
Okay.
theirs. How much did they contribute towards?
None.
Okay, so this is always, this is frustrating. This is 2 weeks in a row where we've brought up school district and assistance and collaboration. It's always fallen on deaf ears. So,
I think that, look, we had school board members come to our meeting,
which is great, thank you.
and they listened.
Yeah.
And I thank you for your service, all the school board members, but, we alluded to the fact that we're going to have a administrative executive meeting prior to our voting meeting in November.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Well,
you're right, but I think the message was sent that we're looking for some more collaboration.
agreed. So, yeah, that was my point too. So I'm right on both accounts. Okay. All right. Thank you for
You can
listening
make
to me.
this money go a
Appreciate it.
lot longer for.
Yeah, that's the whole idea, right? Okay. Thank you for listening to me. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Just two things I want, again, just to reiterate that we may adjust these as we learn more and spend the money.
There might be stuff
Through
that's
the
not
board,
spent.
through board approval, right. And the other thing I just wanted to ask about, so we have the Woodlawn Park grant match, the 300,000. We also are thinking we'll probably have $1 million in the new bond fund for that.
That's correct.
But it seems like then those amounts do not take into account that we are applying for 2 more grants for Woodlawn Park that were on the list, the email that Pat sent out. So my own, and we don't need to go into the details, but if we do get additional grant funds for Woodlawn Park, I'd like to see that come back into the ARPA funds.
That can be reallocated. I mean,
Yeah.
like you said, at any point, you guys can
Yeah.
reallocate.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay.
So while we're talking about reallocation, in the meeting last week, we also talked about that. $250,000 we have that we're looking to dedicate towards Bonnet Lane for,
Utilities,
yeah. What's the timeframe on that?
on when we have to spend it?
Yeah.
I don't know for sure, but typically those are at least a few years, and we just got it, in the spring, I think, summer. So I think we've still got a year and a half, 2 years for that.
Is that to put them on the ground?
Or remove them if they're
Shouldn't
not
be our
needed.
job. Don't worry about it, but we'll talk about that later. I just wanted to know if we had a deadline on that money, that's all.
I have it. Your list, Anthony. Okay,
We have until next week, too. Or not next week, our next board meeting, if people want to talk about some adjustments.
And Anthony, thank you for your recommendation about Montgomery County Community College. That's a great one. We talk about education, previous statements, so it's in there.
okay. So, any other comments on this second round? Okay.
Commissioners
so-
or the public.
Yeah, and commissioners or the public, like, so it'll be C is done now, so we'll go into 10A, plastic bag exemption request process. Who wants to handle that?
I can go ahead and, in the plastic bag ordinance, there is a provision for granting temporary exemptions to the ordinance. In the ordinance, it says that the Board of Commissioners can do that, or it can designate someone to take care of those decisions. We did get a request from a local business, and this is one of the things that is qualified in the ordinance. They wanted to exhaust their current inventory of plastic bags, so they've asked for a temporary exemption. So the question is not whether we're going to grant the exemption. The question is, what process does the board want to follow in granting that? You can either have those exemption requests heard at the board level or designate a staff member or someone else to take care of those.
We're supposed to be setting policy, not governing every little detail. I would say Matt or Paul, because it's his department, we should designate one or the other for these. It's only going to happen for a year.
Right,
or
I'm
so,
fine
'cause then
with
you
that.
won't get any more.
There's requirements they have to follow to
Yeah.
get the exemption.
So it should
or
be staff that
reasons.
does this. I don't
So it
think the
should
board
come
should be
through
listing
Paul's
every
office.
single one.
Paul.
Okay.
It should go through Paul's office, and then if it's something that goes to CDC for,
Yeah, the criteria is pretty straightforward, so
thank you, Commissioner McFadden.
Hold on. So to satisfy the request, is that just going to get done or is it going to come here for a vote? I mean, he just said he doesn't think it should. It should just be whether it's
I
a legitimate
think-
request or not.
And Sean, I would ask you your opinion on this. The ordinance has very clear criteria on, you either meet the criteria or you don't. So the board needs to ask, does it want to have come to the board, which the ordinance says you can do that. It also gives the authority for you to designate someone to do it, which means it wouldn't need to come back to the board, as long as the criteria are followed. Is that, okay. So you could do it either
They
way.
can only get exemptions for the first year.
For those, yeah, I forget off the top of my head what the criteria, but it's pretty clear in the ordinance what the criteria are.
Can I read this? Under temporary exemptions, the Board of Commissioners or its designee may, in sole discretion, upon written request of a retail establishment, exempt the retail establishment from the requirements of this ordinance for a period not more than 1 year from the effective date upon a finding by the board or its designee that the requirements of this section would cause undue hardship to the retail establishment. The board or its designee may make a finding of undue hardship only in the following circumstances or situations, and any exemptions may be provided by the board pursuant hereto. All right, so it lists
Just two.
two. So it's a simple thing, it should go.
I think
Yeah.
there's a comment.
I guess I would just want to make sure that the exemptions aren't for a long time, and it says maximum of 1 year, but that to me seems like a long time, and I just wouldn't want these to go on and not be public in some way also. Although I certainly understand that bringing it all to the board could be a pain in the neck. But I
So-
guess I just wanted to be apparent.
I agree with you, Lynette, that if a business comes and says, hey, we'd like to exhaust our inventory of plastic bags we have now. So, okay, when is that date? I don't think you should get a full year. You should have
Yeah.
a designated time frame. That, okay, you're exempt until March 1st instead of January 1st, whatever. But I think those should be determined at that date and time, based on their inventory.
And one of these two exemptions talks about just allowing a retail establishment the use of using them till their stock runs out. And the other one is circumstances or situation such as there are no reasonable alternatives for single-use plastic bag or non-recyclable paper bags, or expanded polystyrene food products. But they're the two things, that's it, nothing else but those two, so.
Sean, is this something that would have to be voted on at the board? Okay, so we put it on, if they approve it, put it on the 11th and 13th,
To do either one, whether we do it with Paul.
decided at the November 13th meeting.
Well, we won't,
Just make a recommendation so we place on.
Is that a resolution?
No, it could just be a.
Okay.
Anthony,
Sorry, I'm very verbose tonight, I apologize. The first criteria under there, to respond directly to you, Lynette, that first one, in my mind, talking about a unique circumstance, giving that vendor a year gives them the time to find a viable alternative. What I don't want to see happen, and I think would be against the message of this ordinance, is for that person to come back to re-up that provision every year because they're not finding an alternative to how to distribute their product.
I don't think they can, because it says a period of not more than 1 year from the effective date in the paragraph above. Sean, am I reading that right?
Yes, that's how, we had a pre-discussion with this on the agenda, Paul, that's how we interpret it.
Okay, I do
There's
too.
nothing in here that would allow it to be interpreted that one exemption is for a year, but you can get another
That's
exemption.
how myself and Matt interpreted it.
Okay.
I would assume if someone asked, we would say the same thing again.
Okay, then that's fine. Then I'll stop talking. Thank you.
So, yeah, we want to make sure that Paul's the
Yeah.
one that's going to decide
I think
this.
the
He's
ordinance
aware
is
of,
very clear, you get a year grace period.
Right.
People start saying no.
Yeah, and just to clarify, this ordinance has been in effect for 3 months,
Yes.
thereabouts, and we've gotten the one request. And it
good
was,
to hear
yeah,
that it's just one.
yeah.
Okay, well, where are we going, how are we going
It
to?
didn't take effect yet, so maybe
Well,
that's,
enforcement hasn't taken effect.
Right.
Are we moving this forward for the full board action or we have to do full board action, but when these things comes up through code enforcement, are we allowing Paul the opportunity to handle it?
I'm okay with that.
yeah.
Me too. Okay, that's how it's going to move forward.
Motion on the agenda.
But exemptions don't automatically go to a
Right, we can
year.
give some,
Yeah, he can determine how and why,
and,
and that
right,
office can.
we can let them know what's.
But just because you get an exemption doesn't mean you get automatically a year.
Right.
Okay.
And finally, last item on the agenda tonight, a new healthcare option for non-union employees. It's called the PPO, High Deductible Health Plan.
Yeah, the township currently offers 2 health plans for employees. They're both effectively HMOs. This would be a third plan that's less expensive than the other 2. It's a bit more expansive and more flexible than the HMO, but it could expose the employee to greater costs in a given year if they have if they have extraordinary health things beyond the township contribution. But we think it's a good plan. We think it will fill a void for a number of employees who would like more flexibility. And I think most importantly, at least with respect to costs, this is less expensive. And I think based on some of the feedback we've gotten from our broker, if the township wants to try and better control these healthcare costs in the future, the deductible plan really is the way you do that. So this doesn't cost the township any upfront money, and any person who joins that plan, we would expect savings from each person that joins the
So how
plan.
much has our healthcare gone up over the last 3 or 4 years by percentages?
Oh, it hasn't, but I think it's been artificially kept down, but we have not seen any significant increase in the last few years. This most recent, and this is getting kind of into the weeds, but this most recent year, it was going to be going up 11%. But we had some conversations with our,
24?
just this next year, it was going to go up 11%. We had some discussions, there was potential of moving to a different plan, so our broker was able to keep the costs essentially at zero. No one knows what the future holds for healthcare costs, and so it would be very difficult to predict that. But we're hoping to try and have the tools available for the township to better control healthcare costs.
I'm sorry. So for now, we're just deciding to offer the third plan, but not details as far as exactly what the plan will be, how much it would cost the employee versus the township. things
Yeah,
like that.
what I would suggest, we made a recommendation of what we thought would be a good, but there's essentially 3 questions you have to ask. One is, what is the deductible amount going to be? We have approval of up to 75%, 25%, but we recommended 50-50. So that's one question. Second question is, for those people who participate in that plan, would they continue to pay the 6% premium, or would you incentivize them by a lower contribution, like 3% or some other number? And then the last question is the HRA versus HSA. HRA, those are funds that go into they're deposited into account for the employee to use, and then at the end of the year, those funds return to the township. HSA, those funds remain in the account for the employee. It becomes their money that rolls over. And when they leave, when they separate, they could take that with them. So some of these things would incentivize the employee more to join, but we think a good place to start is to start with the 50-50 3% contribution towards premium for those employees participating using an HRA. But that could be moved around if the board felt like it would like to do it differently.
Comments?
What's the number for the contribution to the HRA? Let's see.
Excuse me?
What is the number for the contribution to the HRA?
Well, it would be the same HRA or HSA. It would be 50% of the deductible.
But are we contributing money towards the,
Yeah, so deductibles.
we're sharing the cost of the.
Yeah, so if the deductible is $6,000 and you have a 50/50 deductible, then the township would contribute $3,000 towards the HRA. The employee would be responsible for the other $3,000. But with a reduced contribution to premium, they would make up some of that $3,000 in savings on premium.
Well, you pays the first 3,000, the township pays the next 3,000?
We'd have to work, I think those payments come either, I don't know how yours works, Cheryl, but it comes quarterly or does it come all at once?
That's individual
It comes all
and
at once,
family.
and it would be what the township contributes would be go first towards the deductible.
Yeah, I think that's the way
I mean,
most
that's
of them
what
work.
makes it more of an incentive.
So I'm looking at a $3,000/$6,000 deductible. So that's individual and family, correct?
Right. But we can determine how that money gets deposited on what timing, with the timing of that, whether it's all at once. HRA, you could do it all at once. HSA, you might want to think a little differently about that, just because if you had an employee leave.
Okay, right now, we're not setting those parameters of how much.
I thought we weren't, but it sounds like
And
we
that's
are
just-
setting the
If
thread.
you are now, we need more information, I think. But I think it's a good thing because it's optional. We're not forcing anybody. If
Right.
somebody has kids that don't live around here, like when my kid was out in Utah, and still family, it would cover doctors out there where it doesn't
It
here.
does.
So,
You get a separate card for that, it covers it.
nowhere as near as easy.
Yeah, there's definitely
I-
benefits to this.
I'm saying the HRA is really good. I mean, I would have done that instead of the other
We
because.
talked about the HRA.
So I think our decision is, one, are we going to do it? And then if you want to tonight, set the parameters now so we know. That, or have the parameters set before we vote on it in November, because we got to know that before we actually take a full vote.
I'm definitely in favor of offering another plan.
I mean, we talked about the HRA, and if it's going to be 50/50 to start with, I guess if you have to have part of the plan, who pays first, or if it's going to be quarterly, if you're going to give them $750 a quarter?
I would suggest if it's an HRA, you just pay it up front, because whatever money's not used comes back to the township.
So you're paying what up front?
Who, the employee?
Yeah, no, you're paying, if we're doing an HRA the way it was described to us, we're contributing the first $3,000 of a $6,000 deductible.
Correct.
So they would just let you know that here's the bill, you have to pay it?
You mean after the 3,000?
No. While we're doing it, how is it going to be managed here?
The money is deposited into an HRA account. You then are issued effectively a debit card.
Still goes through like your health insurance.
I just want to be
Company.
perfectly clear.
Yeah.
So about what'd you say, 3% contributions, and they're now 6%?
So that would be a way of incentivizing the employee. Right now, it's 6%
6% of
of
what?
premium,
Of-
total
Of
premium.
the cost,
Total premium. So if a single person's total premium, I'm making up the number, it may not be exact, $10,000, then it's 6% of the $10,000. Same thing with a family.
6% would be our 3% and their 3%?
No, that would just be, that's the contribution to premium, the 6% is totally the employee.
Still is. Right
Yeah,
now.
so if you did 6% for those that are on the HMO, that would be all the employees, 6%. If you did 6% or 3% for the new plan, that would be all the employee.
$10,000. Okay, look, let's talk about that. They have to contribute 6% to participate in the plan.
For to the HMOs, yeah.
with this plan, that 6% is going to be used to incentivize them?
No, okay, so.
Figure out the difference between the two, because I've only had a traditional.
Right. So for the people who are participating in the current plans, which are both HMOs, and we'll use the 10,000 figure, currently they contribute 6% towards the premium, so they're paying $600 to the premium. For those participating in the new plan, let's say that new plan is $9,000, because it is less, the premium's less. They would be paying 3% of that number. What that does is that provides savings on the premium side to help kind of take a little bit of a chunk out of the $3,000 obligation they would have if their bills got up past the first $3,000 that the township would be paying.
The first 3%.
First 3,000.
Well, you just said.
There's two different things.
If it drops to 9, I'm just trying to be clear here. If it drops to 9 as a result of going with this plan, they still have to pay 3% of the premium,
There's the contribution to premium,
27.
and then there's the deductible.
Yeah.
They're two separate things. So when they pay, they can either pay the 6% on 10,000 or 3% on 9,000. That's separate.
Yeah.
Then over on the deductible side, the HMOs don't pay anything, depending on how, but the new plan, if they spent over $3,000 in medical bills, they would then have to take the next 3,000. The employee would have to absorb the next 3,000. Then after the 6,000 total, it's insurance. So the idea is if you cut the premium a little bit over here and you save $1,000, say, over here, instead of being 3,000 that they're exposed for, it's really 2,000. So it's just an incentive. You're incentivizing the employee. You're cushioning that 3,000 that they're liable for. But most of the time, they're not going to spend the $3,000. For the average employee, they don't get over $3,000 in medical costs in a given year.
So if the health plans are in the range of $10,000 a year, I just don't know if this is enough incentive that many people are going to switch.
The health insurance plan is $10,000 a year.
It's not. For a family, it's more than that. We're just using a round number to make it
Oh,
easier.
okay, good.
Yeah. For a single, I think it's like 11 or 12. For a family, it's going to be like 30,000. So
It's cheaper for a husband and wife to be separate, a single, than it is for them to be.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So either way, I think the important thing to understand is that by doing this plan, it provides savings to the township. The plan is less, and that's why I think,
And it's going to be shared with the employee,
yeah.
the potential for savings, depending
And it's,
the spend of their
Yeah.
deductible. Right.
But they're not gonna get hit for more than 3%. Because we pay 3, they pay 3, then the balance of it gets paid by the insurance company.
So the whole idea is that the insurance companies are rarely going to have to shell out any money because in most cases, when you don't, if you're healthy, the $3,000 is going to cover it. If you really want to, I have no skin in this one, okay? I personally, if I was going to be an advocate for this and trying to promote it, I would go with the HSA because and maybe lower the benefits a little bit.
that would clearly incentivize the employee more, because the HSA allows them to keep that money, whatever's left over.
Over a course of a couple of years, they could have enough money banked on the HSA.
Right.
And
I agree that that's how you'll get,
the example that you put before us does not say HRA, it says HSA.
Well, the recommendation is HRA,
HRA.
but we could do HSA.
Example says HSA on the chart.
That's Friday, it's past that.
It's right in front of me.
Are you looking at the spreadsheet?
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's what they proposed, but that's what they shared with us. That comes from the broker. But if you look at the agenda summary,
Yeah, I saw HRA.
yeah, I think HRA is what we're recommending. But again, you could do it either way.
I'm just like, you're looking for, I'm thinking is like, I understand the whole principle of it. If the HRA money doesn't get spent, it comes back to us. So if you're forking out $3,000 for every person that signs up for this, then you should get the money back. But if you lowered that HSA money to $1,500 and then the employee gets to keep it only for those reasons, in 2 years, they got $3 grand.
Right.
Carried over.
Yeah. Look, I think it's a better selling item for this. I agree with Kip that, you know, there might be more information needed. I do see some things I really like here. Like, one of the things that goes along with some of these PPOs is when you satisfy your deductible on a PPO, and you go for physical therapy. It's not included. It's not included, you know, on some of the PPOs. But in this one, after you've satisfied the deductible, it's zero up to the maximum amount of visits for physical therapy.
So I am not in favor of an HSA. I would like to see how things go with the HRA first, see how it works, and if it's not being used, then we can look at next year's board can handle the decision on it. But I mean, we talked about it. This is what we talked about moving forward. I think that once you offer HSA, you can't take it back to go to HRA. So
I agree with that.
Yeah.
That if you did an HRA first, you can go back, but I won't support it with HRA on it.
My only comment is I don't see any criteria on there for mental health. There's nothing about,
depends on the policy, I guess.
well, yeah, I mean, but I would like to
I
see.
think that's usually included. I mean, I don't know if, you know, all the details, but usually a health insurance plan will cover mental health, especially nowadays.
Well, yeah, I would like to agree with you on that, Matt, but I know that a lot don't, or they're very restrictive in the ways that they.
Yeah, they are restricted on number of visits. You're absolutely right.
So it would be good to just have that on that list. I mean, if that was provided by the broker, have them throw another line item in there that says how many visits
Or-
you get with a therapist.
What would happen is if you guys approve this and the broker comes in and does a whole educational thing on the plan for all the employees and then,
Or our budget meeting? No?
no, they would do it before January 1st when the plan would take effect.
All right, so my thing is that we should have a comparison, take Anthony's topic here, for the HMO, or where we're at with the HRA or the HSA.
A comparison in cost?
No, the amount of visits that they get for mental health. There's a,
In my opinion, everybody has different reasons why they have health insurance, and some people, their condition might be some kind of mental
so
health.
if you
that
get
might trigger the
25,
decision.
that's one thing, that you get 25 with the one and 15 with the other. It's just something you need to know about. It doesn't, they don't give that to you.
Well, that's
You
what
have
they
to
would-
You have to figure that out.
Well, that's what part of the education would be, and then people can make the decision of whether they wanted to do it or not. I mean, we can get the answer for that for the.
That's fine, as long as
Okay,
that
yes.
information is just out there and upfront, because I think, you know, that is another data point that helps people make a decision on what plan they want to go with.
Right.
And if that's hidden somewhere within the informational packet, that's not fair to that person who's signing up for insurance thinking they're getting something and having to do more work in an already debilitating state to find solutions. So I just want to make sure that that's out there for folks. All right, thank you.
Anthony, to your point is, we do know that there is some mental health benefits already in the existing plans, and neither one of those are mentioned.
Right.
Do you think you should have them in to decide which way to go and then make a decision? Or you're putting the cart before the horse here, because you should have all the facts about where you're at and where you're going
You just
to.
offer a plan.
This is just an offering. It's just it's
Yeah,
totally voluntary. If someone wants
Right,
to.
I'm okay
Yeah.
with trying it out at their recommended plan. And see how.
This is not mandatory for anyone.
Not mandatory, it does, exactly the details, the 50/50, the 3%, the HRA. I don't feel like it's enough of incentive, but,
We can see how
Try
it
it out.
goes.
Agreed.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, to Cheryl's point, I mean, if you have the existing plan, the total out of pocket, it is lower than what your out of pocket would be for the other one, but you have a supplement.
Yep. Okay,
Okay.
anything else? Any commissioner public comments on this?
Yeah, got a couple. Okay.
No.
On this?
On this?
No.
Okay,
Are you?
go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, you finish your meeting. I'll wait for my commissioner comments.
Well, that concludes business for
Okay, there you go.
Commissioner comments of next week. You got something to say?
Yeah, it's
Go,
just like,
go.
there's a finance administrative meeting, and I'm really disappointed that in the 16 years that I've been here, unable to get consensus across the county with 1% tax. We're sitting up here deciding what the proper direction is for ARPA funds for the health and welfare of our community, and we're beating up retired people that work in a thrift store at a part-time job, and students that want to go and make a couple dollars in the summertime or to go back to school. And we're taking, like, somebody makes $4,000, we're taking $40 out of their pocket. There's no reason for that. And that number should be raised. So again, no regionalization, and it's just like all these questions about what we can do. And, we were getting there, and then the state says we have to put all of our county resources into one basket. And then that committee that meets and determines I don't even know what they meet for. I really don't. And how much it costs us to have them meet. But they told us, well, we can't do anything to do with that. You have to do it individually in each individual municipality. So why am I taking 10, 20, 30, $40 out of the pocket of people that really need it? And we're sitting here with ARPA funds and identifying what's good for the community.
Your blood pressure's getting up.
I'll save the rest for another meeting.
You have to left.
We're good, thanks.
All right. That concludes business for Finance Administration. Thank you for being patient. And now I believe Public Health and Safety's up.